Hey guys, and welcome to another episode. Today I'm going to take some time and look at IMAX, the technology and film screening technique with you. If like me you love cinema, you'll be interested in seeing your favourite film at the biggest screens and with the best experience. And that's where you want to treat yourself with a visit to an IMAX cinema. IMAX is not only about how the film is shown to us, but also how the film is shot with specialised film cameras. Traditionally, most film is recorded in 16:9, or like a rectangle, and we call this anamorphic. It's also known as 2:35:1 ratio. And this is the dimension of film tape, which is also called 35mm. Before we started shooting digitally, we'd use actual film tape, and you can see huge reels of film, and that's how they were stored, and they are in themselves 35mm in size, hence the term 35mm. You might even see black bars at the top and bottom of the image due to this 16:9 format. Back in the day, we used to create shows in a square ratio, 4:3, but most, if not all, programming today uses the filmic look of 16:9. We also produce computer games in this as well. Skip forward even more to a time after 16:9, and that became known as the IMAX era. The aspect is huge, at 1:43:1, or almost sometimes 1:90:1. As the film itself, as you can see here, is actually 70mm in size, so double that of a 35mm. So you get, as a film producer, so much more space to record your image now with these types of cameras. So the first difference here between normal and IMAX cinema is the means of recording. It's a higher quality film and a higher size of film. And this is something that Christopher Nolan, the very famous British director, loves to do. He likes to use IMAX, and he still likes to use, if he can, film. That's sometimes why you'll see, particularly in his films like Interstellar, Dark Knight, Dunkirk, Inception, and of course Tenet, he will sometimes have a grainy feel to it because he still continued to shoot on film. Add to this, the screens themselves in IMAX are actually curved, and they create what's called a full field of view, almost wrapping around the audience, having also been placed closer to you. If you're in the UK and you manage to visit South Bank in London, you'll see a huge circular cinema, which is in the middle of a roundabout, and it's one screen, and it's actually 20 meters high and 26 meters wide. That's 5 double-deckers stacked on top of each other high. You'll often find yourself following the image kind of across the screen because it's so big. Be careful not to sit too close to the front because you'll be sitting like that with extreme neck ache. Another good fact about IMAX is that most people won't realize the projectors themselves are actually lasers, so it's incredibly sharp. And IMAX uses both digital projectors and standard film projectors, and they use what's called DLP. So it's a very bright light, and again, it's a laser type light, so you're getting a very clear image. You're getting a very big image, as we know, but you're getting a very clear image. Sound is a big part of cinema, and IMAX again is very different. You'll be greeted with 6 channels of surround sound, including sub-basses, which are typically installed in the ground, which give you that rumble and that shake in volume. Again, if I give the BFI South Bank in London IMAX cinema as an example, and at the minute that's owned by Odeon, they have a few hundred watts of audio? No, they use much more. And to give you a comparison, your television in your front room, around 20 to 30 watts. The radio in your car is around 40 to 50 watts. And if you've ever turned the volume max, and I mean to the max, that will be quite harsh on your ears. Now, come back to IMAX. Being hit with 6 channels of sound surrounding you makes the experience literally immersive, especially when the sound volume is 14,000 watts. Yes, 14,000. Other IMAX cinemas around the world quote values up to 20,000 watts. So you are literally shaking in your seat. This is why they call it an immersive experience. It can be a really emotional experience. Some people don't actually enjoy it. It's too much for them. So it's certainly not for the faint-hearted. One thing to consider is that to shoot in IMAX is very expensive, and these cameras have to be hired at a very high day rate. It's also one thing to shoot like that, but other films can be converted to IMAX. And what they do is they scan the film digitally and then enlarge it and do all of what they do to it, and that can take them months. When you're researching films, have a look, particularly at the bottom of the poster. Has it been shot in IMAX? Is it being shown in IMAX? And if you've never experienced it, do think about it. It's a very different way of watching film. IMAX is actually also a technology which offers 3D. And it's not like other companies who produce 3D, like real 3D. They actually use 2 projectors kept a certain distance from each other. And again, it's going to cost more if you rent 2 to film with. So when you put your glasses on, each piece of glass is receiving only that element of the camera, the left or the right. It's really clever stuff. Again, have a look at some of the links I've put in the descriptions. They'll typically spray their screen silver, so you don't get that weird kind of effect which happens sometimes in 3D where it goes a bit ghosty. 3D IMAX is again very different, and if you've never done it, really do recommend. Guys, I hope it's been helpful to look at IMAX and consider how film can be made in a different way, and in some people's views, a better way. Thanks for subscribing and sharing. Again, please pop any questions to me in an email or in the comments below. Take care, see you soon.